what'd you do about that?
We're creating a vehicle to become a volunteer and open the door to volunteering in the organization and creating a place for people who want to volunteer to go there. The possibility exists of more short-term projects that they could get involved in. The use of virtual virtual meetings and technology to have more people involved at no expense.
Okay, good.
I'm not sure I agree with that we've created more opportunities for short-term involvement. We've certainly talked a lot about that. I don't know that we've been very specific about that. We kind of floated that idea of steering versus standing committees. We never really followed up on that.
Well, I think it's going to come out of the fact that there will be more availability to jump on a work group or jump on a project on a work group. No, we didn't talk about it directly, but I definitely think having a way of getting in is going to encourage getting in and getting out and getting in.
Does the group anticipate that being refined further in the future? Because I really do like that idea of those short-term committees, and we didn't follow up on that. I know that got really complicated, and I understand why we didn't, but I think that's a lost opportunity right now that we should pick up later.
What I would say about this is we saw this as so important that we made some changes now, but we also believe it's a phase 2.
Okay,
Right.
That
that's
there,
what I'm hoping.
that there is a phase 2 because we realize that this is even bigger
Good.
potentially than what we had the chance to do in our phase 1. Yes. Steve?
I think the changes that we're proposing will make it more relevant. Maybe make it more
Very good
profession-oriented
point.
and make it more relevant to the issues that
People want to talk about.
school psychologists are and will face in the future, because we're setting a leadership assembly wherein we take a lot of that business association stuff, put it with the board of directors, freeze the association or leadership assembly to focus on relevant professional practice.
Needs of practitioners.
Okay, and we found that people would they would prefer to talk about those things than the color of the napkins at the convention or whatever. Most of them. There's a few. Yeah. Okay, anything else about anticipating the future? Okay, what about responsive to NASP resources and needs of members? Responsive to NASP resources.
Well, leadership, having regional meetings at NASP convention brings everybody together at one place, one time, and gives greater access.
So that
Greater access, and also is more efficient, cost-effective use of resources.
okay.
Greater access to a more efficient, cost-effective use thereof.
Okay.
Is this an example? Do we want to have numbers to talk about? What's the cost of doing regional meetings this way versus the other way, and one LA versus 2?
Not bad idea.
Could we do that?
I mean, yeah, we could, I
I
could
think
come
we
up with
wanna have them
something like
available,
that.
but
The
I
question is,
Yeah, I don't think cost is a huge issue.
knowing
People
this
wanna lead
group,
with
I'm
that.
fearful
Yeah.
of putting numbers and those details out there. I think we have to talk about concepts.
Yeah.
And I think the numbers are just one tiny piece of it, because
Yeah.
the staff hours preparing for
It's complicated,
a delegate
and it's
assembly,
all the ifs,
yeah,
ands, and buts we haven't worked out, so
it's
that,
something hard to
But
quantify.
what if somebody asks that question?
Is this going to
Do
be
we
cheaper?
say, we don't know?
It's a back pocket. I think we do need to have some broad numbers within that, and say that we anticipate there is gonna be about a 15% savings by doing it in this direction. And I would use big numbers and make the statement in as simple phrasing as we're doing this.
And I think we can also highlight the other savings in addition to the cost that we believe would
Right.
occur. But yeah, I wouldn't lead with that. I would lead with why conceptually and strategically we should be doing this.
So we want to add some sort of general range of numbers so they get the sense of what this looks like if it
That's
comes
a
up.
back pocket.
Yeah.
So something we have accessible
I
if
agree.
called.
Yeah, it's just, and it's a broad number.
Okay. What about needs of members? I think we've already talked about that a little bit already, but how would you were you responsive to the needs of members?
We didn't care.
Yeah.
Turn it off.
Yeah. We're gonna be focusing on the profession more, we're gonna be focusing
Yeah.
on, and that's gonna be huge.
Yeah.
That is gonna be huge.
And I-
That association is the only association that focuses on professional issues that
Right.
affect all school psychologists, whether they're members or not.
This may be stretching it a little bit, it may be too uncomfortable for you all, but the reality is the best practice in associations is to eliminate everything like a legislative assembly, or a leadership assembly, or delegate assembly. Most organizations are eliminating those. You decided not to, okay? That was the best practice you decided not to support. And the reason why you decided not to is because of your culture, and because the
We wanted
needs
to
of your
focus on the
members
needs of the
are so
members.
great, okay, that you still need to listen to the members and still need to have that group come together to talk about what's going on in your profession. So you have significantly saved something, in my opinion, in this process because you're being responsive to your members.
I think also with the regional meetings, it's another way that we
Exactly right.
respond. I think that's critical.
That
We
was on the
heard,
table.
It was on the
And
table.
it's something that you could have, as a group, decided not to do anymore.
But we know how valuable that is, how it's valued by our membership, and how much they have an opportunity to talk about their states and share across states and across regions. I think this is going to be really strong, the way this is
And when
going
we
to
talk about
play
the
out.
culture,
Yeah.
we're talking about us being psychologists. And we do get swept up in this wave of, we can all just sit at our computers and talk to each other, electronically. But this really does set us apart, and we've got to resist this overwhelming wave
Right.
to make everything
That's
virtual.
right. That's right.
And
doesn't
I
work
think
for us.
this,
It doesn't work.
it doesn't work, and we know it's not going to work long term. But we are also susceptible to this, that it is cheaper and that it is,
It may be
it's
efficient, but not
but
effective
it
necessarily.
will destroy relationships. It does not maintain relationships.
Okay.
And we
We've got to
discovered that
maintain
in the,
that culture.
and we discovered that in the GEI process, because we took the time to get together in the process, have face-to-face conversations with each other, with people at delegate assemblies in the conversations.
Well, at the same time, recognizing that some of the tasks that we have do lend themselves nicely
Absolutely.
to electronic.
select
ways
when
of
to
doing
do
that.
that.
So
Yeah.
position
Intentional
papers
decision-making.
or sharing information as opposed to
good
trying to.
Decision
Yeah, it's not an
Right.
or, it's an
So-
and.
So we recognize both the importance of both of those
Yeah.
things and can more clearly plug in, this is a face-to-face kind of thing and this is an electronic kind of thing. I think we're getting better at that.
I think we also have a sensitivity to the changing of our membership and the fact that we're bringing in a lot of students and a lot of young career folks. And I think that
And
we,
not practitioners.
pardon me?
And not practitioners.
Right, so what we're trying to do is be really responsive to that changing of the association membership. So
Okay.
I think that's important.
Good. Ability to focus on the profession. Okay. What do we do? What were some examples of how you did that? I mean, we've talked about it nauseum, but okay,
What can we
just
talk
focused
about
on the
now?
profession.
Next.
Yeah, yeah, we got that one
Moving
down.
on.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and also this idea of the strategic liaisons, okay, that's part of that as well, is this idea of our priorities, which are focused on the profession rather than the programs and services.
And I think the second part of that your alignment of process to focus on strategic plan and issues, we really thought about
Yes.
the calendar and
Yes.
the meetings and
exactly.
input that we
Yes.
were getting from people at different
Well,
points.
you've made radical
Trying to align
changes to that.
Yeah.
You know, if I would look at what you did, that was pretty radical what you did yesterday.
And we thought that through well. We looked at several different scenarios and what would get us
Yeah.
to the
There you
outcome that
go.
we wanted.
Okay.
Right.
So it was all about not just changing it for change's sake, it was really looking at what we're trying to accomplish, looking at the different scenarios and how we could accomplish it, and believing this was the right one.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. Good. All right. So now we're going to